It was getting dark in Gensokyo, and Remilia Scarlet, otherwise known as the Scarlet Controller, was told to come to the harbor. "Yukari?" she asked. "You know why I called you here?" asked Yukari with a grin. "Why? I heard you wanted help, and so I gave you some help." Then a familiar diesel pulled right beside them. "Hello," said the diesel in an oily voice. "It's been a while, Remilia." "Dizeru," said the Scarlet Controller, narrowing her eyes. "Nice to see you too," said Dizeru sarcastically. Remilia turned her attention to Yukari. "Why did you bring him here?" "Oh," said Yukari playfully. "You don't want him?" Remilia sighed. She had no choice but to accept Yukari's help and ultimately Dizeru's help. "Fine," she finally said. She turned her attention to Dizeru and said, "If you cause any issue," she paused impressively, "I'll see to that Flandre gets a new model engine to play with." Dizeru tried not to show intimidation, but gulped anyway. He parked himself into a shed next to an unfamiliar engine. The next morning, Dizeru set forth to shunt the trucks in the harbor. Full of donations to the Mario Show. "Hello," said the diesel. "Greetings," replied Dizeru. "Are you the new engine?" asked the diesel. "I wouldn't say that I'm new here," said Dizeru. "Who are you?" "I'm Maybach." Who do you might be?" asked Maybach. "I'm Dizeru." The name sounded familiar and the station platform. "Hi, Chris," greeted Maybach. "Hello, Maybach," replied Chrysanthemum. "Did you see the new shunter?" he asked. "No, why?" "That Dizeru fellow seems nice." Chrysanthemum's face dropped. "Dizeru? Did you say Dizeru?" "Yes, why?" "That Dizeru's trouble. He once blamed another engine for making rude jokes at the bigger tender engine's expense," said Chris. Chrysanthemum was talking about the time that a hero was blamed for something Dizeru had done. Luckily, the Scarlet Controller back then knew what was really going on and sent him packing. When Maybach next saw Dizeru, he was resting beside him. Maybach had no questions to ask him. "Hello, Maybach," said Dizeru, slick as ever. Maybach wasn't in the mood for greetings. He instead asked him about the time he had pulled those tricks on Ahir. "I most certainly did not," lied Dizeru. "You didn't?" "Yes." Maybach was at a loss for words. It wasn't until night that Dizeru was in the shed with Maybach. He had heard from Kamachi about Maybach's earlier mechanical issues. "I heard," he began, "that you kept failing all those times." Dizeru paused. "If I didn't know any better, you've had a limp regulator." Maybach was taken aback. "I have what?" "I've said it," said Dizeru. "You have a limp regulator." I do not," defended Maybach. "But you do. Not even Shinto trinkets can give you luck." How did you learn about my Omamori?" Maybach was now getting upset. Sonia Kachiya gave Maybach an Omamori for luck, back before Nidori Kawashiro gave him a complete rebuild. But somehow Dizeru got wind of this. I knew you were trouble," said Maybach angrily. "Who are you going to tell?" Maybach had no comeback for Dizeru and went uneasily to sleep. The next day wasn't much better. Whenever he would go by Dizeru, he would say rude things to him. Dizeru's words were so toxic, not even the fairies would repeat them. "You're a big black meanie," said Cyrano. "Oh, buzz off," replied Dizeru sharply. When Chrysanthemum tried to console Maybach, he refused. "I know there's something wrong, and I know it," she said. There's nothing going on. I'm fine." Maybach sniffed and Chrysanthemum didn't know what to do. of that afternoon when she saw Gran Yakumo. Good morning, Miss Yakumo, greeted Chrysanthemum. Oh, hello, Chrysanthemum, said Ran. Ran saw a distressed look across the diesel railcar's face and asked what the matter was. Maybach's been acting kind of strange. I don't know what. Suddenly, a voice screamed, You got bruised buffers! The Kitsune, Shikigami, and Locomotive soon knew what the matter was. It's that blasted Dizeru, said Chrysanthemum angrily. Who's... Ran paused. She remembered Yukari saying something about bringing help to the railway. I'll have a word with my master and your controller, said Ran, and she dashed off to find a telephone. Romelia was enjoying the company of her sister Flandre when the head maid, Sakuya Izayoi, came into the room. Excuse me, mistress, she began. You're wanted on the telephone. Bother that telephone, Romelia exclaimed. She went over to the receiver and had a conversation. It wasn't long before she hung up. Then the phone rang again. Hello? Asked Romelia. Who's this? Uh-huh. Yes. Hi. Of course, I'll see what I can do. Bye, Satori. Romelia hung up the phone and told Sakura they were to go to the Zanzu harbor at once. Dizeru was resting in the shed. Maybach had left to take a goods train to the Hakurai Shrine, and so he was alone in the yard. That is, until the Scarlet Controller arrived. Hello, Dizeru, she said suspiciously. Dizeru go, yes, sir? I heard you were causing issues with my engines, telling Maybach all those nasty things. Tell me why I shouldn't let Flan-chan play with your steel corpse. Sir, I didn't say such things. Even if I happened to have slipped a word, it was all in good fun, excused Dizeru. Lies! Lies! Screamed the lolly. How can you treat an engine so, especially one that has a history of problems? Dizeru gulped. He knew what was coming to him. The Scarlet Controller pondered for a moment, and then said, There is another thing I could do to you. What do you mean? Oiled Dizeru. I could send you straight to hell. Former hell. Satori Kameji told me that she built a railway to take care of her nuclear waste problem, and she haven't got an engine, said Romelia. Dizeru looked at his options. He could either choose death or choose to live in former hell. He chose the latter. That's a gun engine. I'll call for Yukari to pick you up later. The Scarlet Controller and her head maid walked away. For once in Dizeru's life, he felt genuinely afraid. Why? He asked, and then he noticed the relative silence. Maybach was happy to have found out that Dizeru had disappeared. Ha! Dizeru is finally gone. Where do you think he might have gone? Asked his driver. I don't know, wondered Maybach. Dizeru hated his new life on the railway. He tracked the nuclear furnace and the dump and rode roughly bad traffic. The air was hot and his cooling systems were put to their limits. His new driver, careless and did not give a hoot about Dizeru and his words. Even Rin Teianbao and Utsushu Urejui stopped listening to him. Dizeru would never see the outside world ever again.